Thank you, Cynthia. Actually, it's a very honor for me to be part of this program. It's very refreshing to see young faces and very enthusiastic Sabahans and also Malaysian. Because one of the things that, as Cynthia introduced me, why I joined politics, we are going to go to this. And some of you maybe it's at uncharted territory, but it's also very important for our future of our country. In fact, future of everybody, because if you look at Malaysia currently, and you see now that the kind of shit that this so-called democracy is offering us, it's really very, very depressing. And the worst thing is, like, there's nothing we can do about it. There's almost nothing we can do about it. You've seen all those, how things unfold after GE14, the Sheraton move, and then the country just went down to this like spiral to the abyss of whatever turmoil that we're going to, and unheard of. Yeah? And I thought, being a very idealistic person, I said, okay, I've been in the NGO for the last 20 years. But have I done enough? And one of the things that I was challenged, because for the first time in 2013, I got very actively involved in campaigning for change. Because before that, dulu lah itu, apa juga, let the politician do that. It's like all of us lah watching a boxing match, kan? Kita di luar sini, tumbuk dia. We know like, ayah, you tak tahu tumbuk dia di sini ya. We only know how to talk outside the ring. But it's not easy actually to come in and be one of the fighters, like the MMA, whatever ring that you go, taekwondo ka apa. But that's how it is in politics. You know? Sometimes, berhabis as if like bertumbuk kan, but it's actually a WWE. And in fact, there's also real fights, which is real fighters, like MMA, but most of the time it's WWE. So, World Wrestling Entertainment, it's entertainment, it's stage, it's script. Yeah, most of the time, and a lot of us who got hooked to this entertainment, they thought, wow, this guy, we have idols, But in fact, in Parliament, I tell you, it's all show. And I was there, I have good 3 years of also like doing the show. Sometimes the real story, real action is in the cafe. So that's why a lot of the minister, even there, like, if you don't want it, let's talk in a cafe, right? They even say it bluntly in Parliament. And that's how it is. That's our country. That's how our country is run. Things is done, apa-apa semua ni is done in the in the cafe of Parliament. They call it the lounge, the MP's lounge. I had good time of sitting in the MP lounge, watching people, and talking about important things that is going to affect countries, and they're sitting there and then laughing it out. And even to the extent sometimes, hey bro, kenapa tidak bagi bola tanggung? You know bola tanggung? It's like ask stupid question lah. That's why the more sekarang ni itulah the game derang tuh. More bola tanggung in the Dewan Rakyat and Dewan Negara, but not as much as in Dewan Negara lah, because we have more older people there lah. To be frank, I'm one of, even though I felt like I was old, quite senior, but I'm one of the youngest MP in Dewan Negara. So you can see how our country is being, governed by the past. Is it because there's not enough young people stepping up and go into the gelanggang and fight people like that guy just been answering question? These are the kind of qualities that we have to put up to. So the amount of frustration they have to go through, So that's why a lot of people yang much more logically thinking people will never join politics because you will never had the patience and also the the guts to really stamina to face this kind of idiots or whatever lah. But mind you, not all people there are idiots. They're very good people too. But unfortunately, the good people will never get up there. Because how? Because there's power dynamics. You need to know how to play power. And if you come back to this, if you have listened to that 1.5 hour of presentation or question and answer, whatever it is, actually the sum of everything is actually one thing. What is it? It's actually money. It's all about money. It's all that because the reason why the main motivation for the NCA, for example, is money. They said, "Oh, we want to reduce dependency from the federal government. Money. You want to make sure that every time they argue, we want to have control of our oil and gas resources. Money. You want better royalty for our oil and gas. Money." Apalagi, the only reason they bilang, why we want to NCA because, we have the only resources that still under control. Kan, money. So, betul itu, money makes the world go round kan. But the problem is, kita punya money is still stuck in the 80s, 70s punya thinking. While the global movement is changing, we are still governed by the past. Past thinkers. Ini orang, we are talking about sustainable development. We are talking about renewable energy. Kan? We are talking about sunrise industries. Kan? Tapi they're still going for the sunset industries. In like 20, 30 years, it's gone. Oil and gas. Whether you still like it or not, oil and gas will be divested bah. Kan? So why you continue want to go, hey, give me 40% lah. Berapa? 20% kah? 20%. Itu saja. So, politics is about talking about who can give you the best money. Kan? So, kita tengok balik, the whole idea of politics is, their strategy is what you call murky waters. Yeah, simple. As a politician, they have only one game. Everything bring you to the murky waters. Look, there's fish down there. They will never go for transparency. Because if there's transparency, hey, where's the fish? Kan, ada satu ikan karuk lah mungkin sana kan. If you can, but they always, you look at how they deal with the questions. They always bring you back to the murky waters. They don't answer your question. They create more murky column for you to talk. And this is what Dr. Jeffrey is very effective of. And he's very good communicator. And he can really convince people there's fish inside that pond. This murky pond that he dug using his bare hands, and then put water on it, kan? There's the fish. Bukan saja alang-alang fish, ikan tenggiri, kan? They're not talking like 1,000, 2,000, they're talking billions, kan? So this is how political dynamics play a role in the future of us. So, what makes you see murky waters ni? How do you, because the politician will always bring you to here, murky ponds. And they create more ponds. Here, ni NCA, ya. Ni NCA, they buat MS63. Nah, habis ini dulu dia buat, it was 21 points, kan? Dia buat, habis cerita tu, tidak pakai sudah, dia korek lubang baru. Korek lagi. Oh, yang tahu ya. MS63 ya. Ning. Dia akan cerita lagi. Tidak pernah habis. They will keep on creating new murky ponds. I can say. Murky waters lah. Lepas MS63 apa lagi? Dia tidak tahu. He can create a new one. Which is like federal, state, relation lah. And he always use this to actually, kenapa? They always use this to actually ignite sentiments. That's the word. Yeah. Is sentiment real? I ask you, is sentiment real? No. Sentiment is just the feeling of what you understood, you perceive you understood, of what is inside this murky ponds. Kan? So you just create, itu saja tuh. To create sentiment. Sentiment, fear, ataupun anger. Result is votes. Yeah. It's free. He doesn't need to spend money. That's why Jeffrey Star on all this election is so successful. Macam mana how he can run shoestring budget. Demi how to continue to thrive in our native community especially. Kalau tengok PRN baru-baru, PRN 16 punya result kan, you see the KDM belt, kan? Semua sedang menang kan? Why? Anger. Fear. Macam mana dia create fear? Undocumented people. Nih, dia buang lah tuh, bom, PTI dia bilang, habis, bom, mati. Kan? Senang saja. Even though undocumented people, they have nothing to do with votes, wah. How can they undocumented pergi vote kau, wah? Tapi, he managed to create fear. And creating fear ni bukan susah tau. Guna sentiment and false news lah. So, false news ni senang je. Dia punya Citro, kalau kau nampak Citro, Star, or any of the GRS punya orang kan, no point pergi argue dia. Because dia orang ni, they have script. It's actually to condition the mind. To bawa orang ni to murky waters. Even though it's not true, tapi fake news kan? Tapi kalau you continue spreading it, it becomes true. And that's the reality. Sekarang ini, political party buat yang bagus-bagus kan. Oh, mati-mati. Saya masih ingat lah, because I always do campaign video for Jenny lah, my sister. So bila dia tanding di Kepayan, oh, what to do report card, very nice, you know, hey, begini. Like, berapa saja? 100, 200. Kalau kau buat yang orang bergaduh-gaduh, oh, dia bilang, orang tempatan di tetak Pakistan, dia bilang, wah, 30-40 ribu orang tengok. Betul atau tidak itu cerita, tidak tahu. Tapi, people guna dia untuk weaponize kita punya isu ini, supaya this fear can turn into votes. Itu satu. Anger. Malaya. Kalau kau yang daripada career Dr. Jeffrey kan, from day one yang saya kenal dia, he always use the word Malaya ini. Sampai sekarang. Tapi ada kurang-kurang sedikit sudah, sebab bos dia Malaya kan. Tapi, he technically use this word Malaya, weaponize it, and make it such a sangat bahaya, kan? Sangat bahaya hingga orang invoke anger. Buat lagi. Kita marginalize, kita kena rompak, kita kena begini, kan? Oleh Malaya dia bilang. At the end of the day, turn into votes. Ya? So, actually, kalau kita pikir betul, there's nothing much in terms of ini politics. Because kingmaker can be, you can get a lot of gain to be a kingmaker tau. You can get a lot of gain with only 1 or 2 seats. Jadi pelacur lah. Sudah apa? Minta maaf lah. I'm not saying that this is apa, tapi you are basically turning into a political prostitute when it comes to mau jadi kingmaker. Because you have nothing. Kau pergi sini, you're nobody. Kau pergi sini, you're nobody. Kan? So you have to use your card wisely lah. So, Star, with 1 seat in parliament, managed to do that. BBRS, with 1 seat in parliament, managed to do that. Kan? So, they become kingmakers. So, bila kau jadi kingmaker, apa jadi dia? You will get what you want lah. So, in the end, apa dia mau? Di kingmaker, dia mau, nih, money. Ya, balik kepada duit juga. Because any political party cannot survive without money. Sebab kenapa? If you look at Sabah, politics lah. So, zooming. Apa yang sedang berlaku di Sabah? There are 3 things that there is really clear about Sabah lah. Is politik dia memang hancur. Hancur ni dia pecah-pecah sampai tidak tahu berapa ratus. Mungkin paling banyak parti politik di Sabah lah. Kan? Because Sabah have been the victim of divide and rule since the day one. In the hari pertama formation of Malaysia. We have been subject of divide and rule. Dari awal. Kan? And we created Katak because of this divide and rule. Kan? Katak ini bukan kemarin beberapa tahun lalu. Dia sudah wujud since our first election. The first election Sabah, 1967, pun Katak bah. Kan? Yeah. Because then in the end, it even dissolve UPCO kan. To get, kasih Katak semua masuk USNO. That was, even our history, political history is based on Katak. So, basically orang bilang, kau main katak-katak. Ya, tiada lah itu. Selesai, orang di kampung tuh kan, sudah lali sudah dengan nih, word katak nih. In fact, kau main katak-katak, dia orang katak awak kamu lagi. Ya. Ya, saya bilang, kalau kau tidak, tidak mengatak, rakyat sengsara. So, in the end, normalize. In fact, dia sanjung lagi orang yang berani lompat tuh, sebab dia bilang kalau kau stay on sana, rakyat yang sengsara. Sebab they have to establish this satu norm bahwa everybody is entitled something, kan? Is the satu dependency syndrome and also the entitlement mentality that has been forced ataupun condition because of policy government. Kan dari dulu bagi. Sampai duit pun tiada masih mau bagi. So bila tiada duit sudah mencuri lah. So it's a system. We are victim of our own system lah. Contoh. Perkara kedua, politik Sabah bukan saja ada pecah-pecah. We have weak leaders. Leaders yang bukan memikirkan rakyat. Dia pikir apa? Survival of dia punya group. It's more like a football team. If kalau kita guna metafor dia kan adalah how to survive the next match bah. So sekarang nih kalau kau tengok orang punya strategi and how they perceive what is is macam sekarang nih inilah masa dia untuk transfer window. And it's happening to me sebab tiba-tiba karena offer nih kau join saya lah, kau join ni lah. Macam Luis Suarez nih kena laku lah. Tapi kadang-kadang kau pun pikir-pikir lah. Either kamu continue playing the same team ataupun you tukar ada game. Kalau tidak mau main bola sudah main bagus lagi main sepak takraw kan. So this is the situation lah. Leader yang ada even dalam parti itu tim bola sepak tuh tidak komplit dia punya tim. Semua nih sekarang ada handicap. Jadi mereka nih berpusu-pusu melawan-lawan untuk mau ambil player yang paling terbaik untuk masuk kepada next match, which is coming soon. Next GE is coming very soon. this year. Ya. Kalau the indicator will be ini ya, MOU kan, not sooner than July kan, the MOU. But kalau itu udah undang-undang nanti lompat ketak, kalau lompat parti itu is not table in parliament in this, MOU will be dead. And you can see the election coming this year. So if you're building new set of generation untuk jadi tanding election kita cukup masalah. Okay, so that is the second problem. Kebanyakan parti politik di Sabah tidak komplit. Ada handicap dia orang. And then they have so much baggage dalam punya ahli member dia orang nih. Kan? That's why when you have baggage, it's easy to be manipulated. Easy to be control. Karena pijit apa dia bilang tuh, Jepri itu? Balabak dia bilang kan. Nah, so karena pijit biji dia bilang. Nah, so memang betul lah. So if it's your political party kan sudah memang ada pijit balabak sudah. Ya, kasihan kan? And then yang third one is derang nih sekarang nih hanya can only think of the next match. So short-sighted. Dan they don't even think about policies. I tell you, berapa parti politik yang berbincang pasal good policies? Tiada, wah. Kan? Yang dia cerita sekarang, every time you dewan, is the existing policy yang di sana saja. But are they going to put in new things? Tidak. Where is the progressiveness of our political party? Tidak. So inilah masalah dia. Kita punya parti-parti politik paling tempatan teh, kan? Sudahlah dia jago kampung, dia punya knowledge pun tidak banyak baggage lagi. So macam mana lah mau bring better for Sabah, kan? And then in the end, all these three factor tuh made this satu factor yang buat the local party itu is so weak that they can't do much. Then in the end, the only option political party yang ada dalam Sabah ini is to be kingmaker. Asal dapat tanding. Macam kalau menang, bagus. And then jadi pelacur lah. Because you're not going to use your one card to change policy, bah. The one card too is can only trade for money or power lah. So itulah conclusion, kita sudah sampai ini situasi bahwa we already in the level of the level of hopelessness dalam political system kita. So I know ini adalah satu cabaran kita sama-sama, because if we love Sabah, then we have to come up with something. And how to change this? Kan daripada yang teruk begini, we have to transform it. Tapi masalah dia ada satu word yang betul-betul saya tertarik tadi. One of the things yang Ilan bilang tribalism. Because that is the problem kita. Because we are stuck with this tribal politics. Kita stuck dengan banyak benda-benda yang really yang old school, yang saya bilang zaman batu punya lah. But this can only be changed with new set of mind and dengan new set of thinking lah. And I think the core value that we should embrace for to make Sabah great again is sustainable development lah. Itu saja tuh, because we want to have sustain Sabah bah. So in the end, kalau kita dapat achieve that sustainable development, I think the money will be coming, because that is the future, and we have to work towards that. Biarlah orang tuh masih bercerita pasal tuh oil and gas, ceritalah biar dia orang. So better don't waste our time buat pergi menyampuk dan buat join itu debate, rather than we continue to offer something better for Sabah. Because ada juga yang kita mau in politics, good policies. Ya. Ada orang mau cerita policies. I talk about policies. We want to push for apa? PH try to. Tapi policies nih bagi orang kampung apa benda tuh dia tidak boleh tolong kasih naik harga getah saya dia bilang. Because at the end of the day bread and butter. Okay? Bread and butter issue comes back to that very basic thing lah. So, ya kita mau nih good policies kan, good governance, good government, good governance, whatever. Tapi this change requires time. Kebanyakan orang kita tidak tahan, tidak boleh tunggu. It takes years bah. How to undo 60 tahun punya policy, for example, apa polisi yang kita sangat 60 tahun sudah ini? Contohnya New Economic Policy, NEP. Ya, it's supposed to empower Bumi Putra. Macam saya nih, I'm not empowered. Saya masih juga struggle every day untuk just to make the ends meet, just to survive. Kan? So, dan bagus itu polisi, ya, mungkin dulu lah. Tapi still here. What we want to change about that? Wah, it takes time. Because sometimes, isu-isu macam ini, orang pun takut. For example, like, I want to do this, tapi takut pula, oh, you anti Bumi Putra. Macam tu kan. So, people who really want to change policy kan, in the end, apa jadi dia? Dia takut juga mau cross ini, apa tuh? Dia punya line tuh. Sebab dia takut vote bank dia hilang. So, ada dilema. There's always a dilemma in politics where kamu mau buat sesuatu, you want to do something, you want to change something. Tapi there's also a line where nobody wants to risk taking. And that is the problem of Pakatan. They never dare to go beyond that line. Sebab dia takut. Sebab dia new, kan? So, they're too careful. In the end, apa jadi? We have the Sheraton move. When we have Sheraton move, that's it lah. Sebab, he already broke the coalition yang managed to basically topple a regime that is very much sudah berakar dalam bah. Not easy. The only way to topple satu kayu yang besar kan, macam tu, akar yang dalam tu, ialah within. Ada anai-anai, kan? So pokok barisan itu anai-anai dia terlampau banyak sudah sana. In the end dia jatuh sendiri sebenarnya. Pakatan is just there to put the last blow and made it topple. Supposed to be bila dia topple, there's something coming in, new things, kan? So either you pergi korek the akar, take it out, and tanam baru, oh in the end itu akar boleh tumbuh balik kok. Ya, and macam kayu belian. Kamu pernah nampak kayu belian kan? Kalau dia tumbang, dia pandai tumbuh balik. Because dia punya akar itu, sistem dia sangat kuat. Very resilient. So, kalau tebang pun, dia akan tumbuh juga. So, you're dealing with satu regime, which is like kayu belian, bah. So, the problem was, nobody was daring to take out the root. Takut. Kenapa? Because dia bilang, oh kami ini baru, we don't know what to do. Ya. Secondly, you promise too much. That was a problem. Because untuk dapat ini, to counter sentiment is feel good benih. Kan? You need to come up with either anger, fear. The only thing that you can counter is feel good. Something. Kan? So, PH were trying to put a lot of feel-good factor dalam dia punya manifesto. Suddenly itu, Aki bilang, manifesto itu bukan kitab, habis. And that was the starting point where it goes down lah. Tapi satu lagi dynamic yang selalu kita, we have to remember. Because politics, dia tidak stand alone. Ya, political platform itu, they're not you have the masses and the CSO. In fact, CSO plays very important role dalam mana-mana ini. If you look at the change happen in GE14 kan, without the Bersih punya momentum, it will not happen. Betul tidak? Kau percaya tidak? Because Bersih, even though dia pergi street, pergi apa tuh, actually what happened with Bersih? Dia bukan demand clean election saja. It's actually a platform for people to talk about what is wrong with this country. But what happened? The moment PH jadi government, Bersih hilang. Betul kan? Because they thought we have done our work, ya, okay. Sekarang let the government do. Then lepas tu hantam, lashing government every day. So instead of helping the government, PH, to thrive and do things good, the CSO become opposite. Dia rotan hari, bashing hari, setiap hari. In the end, it was capitalized by the opposition. Kan? So menyesal kau cakap. Tidak guna juga. But CSO still need to do dia punya kerja. But you should not have done lashing every day, bah. You should come up at, okay, this is what I want to do. Step forward. Kami mau buat begini. Can you support us? That's how it's supposed to be. So it should be done through partnership. Kan? Masalah dia, we did not go for partnership. We want to maintain status quo yang, CSO. No. We apolitical. Kami tak mau apa-apa politika. Ada YB, Jenny mau datang sini, walaupun kawan dah, Bersih, together. Said, no, Jenny, you cannot come. Because now you are politik. Wah, saya pun terkejut toh. What happened? What happened to the civil society? So, I think we missed the golden opportunity to make a change because everybody thought, wah, I have done my part. Nah, sekarang I can continue my part. Nah, sambil-sambil juga, karena faktor kedua, first time jadi government, tak tahu menjadi government. So it's a combination of both. The civil society is not nurturing partnership. Yang satu lagi yang tidak tahu macam mana mau jadi government. So in the end, apa jadi? Semua tuh jadi modal kepada opposition to seize power. So that was the national politics. Why Sheraton happened? It's not because Azmin Ali tamak kuasa. It's not because Tun M tidak pandai jadi Perdana Menteri. It's not because si Guan Eng terlampau kedekut. Kan? It's actually a combination of factors that eventually perceived that PH is failing. And suddenly, ada orang bilang, instigated, bilang, we can do better. We can do better. Then they offer gula-gula. The feel-good factor. Because if you offer the majority, especially the Malays, what they want, of course they're going to support you. Walaupun macam mana kau cakap begini, Sabah Sarawak tidak penting, bah. When it comes to selecting who is going to be in power, Sabah Sarawak tak penting doh. Because our numbers are too small. So, when your numbers are too small, terlalu kuat, apa akan jadi? Politics become kingmaker. So, ini pengalaman saya sendirilah. Saya share saja. If you want to get clarification, tanya saja. But first thing that when I joined DAP lah, kan, I thought, wah, DAP ini one of the most progressive, I have, because saya ini dulu berapa 20 tahun kan, jadi aktivis, so I have this automatically tendency to be more socialist lah, center left lah, kan, because we want all these more progressive policies, kan. So that's why I joined. I thought, okay, senang lah. But when it comes to political party, kan, internal politics, you need money. I thought masa election saja kamu mau pakai money. In fact, dalam party pun kamu kena service kau punya cawangan, you have to service your members. In fact, the members are much more demanding than your voters. Betul. Because kalau kau bukan ketua cawangan, kalau kau bukan ketua bahagian, you are nobody, macam mana kau jadi calon? This is how it is. Kan, you have to be somebody in the party in order for you to be fielded as candidate. That, whether you like it or not, that is the norm. At least in Malaysia lah. Unless we have another party yang bilang, oh kita ni tidak, we are basically based on totally on merits. Tidak boleh lah. Sebab if you don't get support of the grassroots, susah juga kau mau menang. You will have very hard time to run your job even if you win. Inilah masalah dia. Jadi saya sendiri mengakui saya tidak duit. Ini orang lugai-lugai saya mau pergi masuk politik. Dan suddenly, wah, ini cawangan pun mau minta ini kah? Wah, hari-hari kau minta orang datang as if you are ATM, you know. Ya, dia punya member, anak dia mau register pergi university, bos susun itu apa? Dia minta bayar yuran, artis tuh bayaran apa tuh? Bayaran registration dia. That is at least 500, 600 bah satu orang. Kalau ada 20 orang cari kamu macam mana? So kalau kau tidak cakap, saya tidak boleh tolong kau, jadi you are useless, kami tidak mau kau. So do you want to concede and continue the money politics macam tu? Walaupun it's not party punya polisi, tapi in order for you to be diangkat sebagai ketua cawangan kau, ketua bahagian, that's how it is. You have to provide for. That's why UMNO is very good in this. Sebab 60 tahun dia jaga. They have it's almost like a regime dalam satu kawasan tuh. That's why satu orang kan suddenly, very talented youths, anak muda, semua popular, macam K-pop artist lagi, kan orang mau dia, kita mau. Tapi does the party give way to this guy? No way. Without the consent of the warlords sana. Okay, so this is the dark side of partisan politics lah, kan? In CSO kita tak peduli soal ni. What we want is principles. We want to this is what I want to do, ini saja, kan? Straight jalan terus saja. Kita sini politik kau tengok kiri kanan lagi. Because the worst thing is not during election tau, is your kawan sendiri bunuh kau. And that's how it is. And I'm sure banyak parti macam Muda, even APCO, DAP, PKR, UMNO, everybody face this. This is like, that's how the fabric of political setup di Malaysia lah. You go to other country, different. Yeah, very different because kita punya democratic system is very different from the rest of the world. Kita punya we still use the first past the post, kan? And we are not based on popular votes. So ini juga lagi senang dalam manipulate. Because you can gerrymandering. Ya. You gerrymander itu kawasan, bayangkan like KK, you have like 80,000 voters, one seat. Kau punya kalabakan baru 25,000, 30,000 pengundi. One seat, same suara tahu di parlimen nih. Ya. So where's the how do we kasih balance dia? Okay? So coming back to this Sabah punya, kita sudah pergi yang di sana national politics. Let's go back to Sabah lah. Okay? So after reading and hearing, watching and hearing the dialogue just now, what is the conclusion of the quality of our leader? Begini, bukan, dia pandai tau, sangat pandai, because he can turn something kosong, nothing into something. Magician. No, magician ini ya. Not the other magician. Tapi dia ni memang magician. Because he can cast a stone to become bread. Dia cakap itu begini-gini, tiba-tiba jadi billion betul. Kan, dia cakap saja. Why? Satu saja masalah kita nih. In fact, he's not a strategist for sure, like Winston Churchill, tetapi he is very very smart in terms of political maneuvering. That's why kalau kau tengok dia punya history itu, he have been creating a lot of murky ponds kan, and people believe in this. Even to an extent, he initiated so-called revolution in the 90s, and everybody prescribed to the idea of independent Sabah. Kalau kamu pernah dengar itu cerita-cerita, saya masih budak masa itu. Saya at that time I was only 10 years old pun inspired tau. Wah, Sabah mau berjaya, mau apa. Saya pun mau jadi askar. I want to be in the Air Force. Dengar cerita dia saja tuh. Ya. Tapi it turns out it's just a scam. Kan? Kita tahu apa jadi dia. To justify bahwa semua itu yang duit yang dia angkat keluar itu is like duit revolusi, so that nobody question. Actually tiada revolusi. Revolusi untuk diri dia saja. Kan? Tapi the issue is begini. Paling penting sekali is knowledge. The only way we can combat all these sentiments is knowledge. Unfortunately, kita punya KDM belt nih is the worst when it comes to knowledge. They don't read. Kan? They only drink around tea saja. And then, bila kita mau bercerita dengan intellectually, they said, kau ini orang bandar apa kamu tahu begini. Kan? But maybe because kita punya approach salah. It's not because dia orang tidak pandai, but actually, we are bringing them the wrong menu. Kan? Suddenly kita datang, kita buat climate change. Kita mau buat ini. Dia bilang, itu barang apa benda nih? You're telling me, ya? Who are you to tell me that I cannot tanam my sawit? Kan? Who are you to tell me saya tidak boleh tanam getah? Kan? Who are you to tell me that I cannot buka semen tanah? Putung di bukit bikin rumah. All these things. Because we don't understand what is both sides. Tapi paling penting sekali adalah bila kita masuk kampung, ya, is kita punya approach itu is not really down to earth. Kita belum belajar lagi macam mana really how to feel and walk the path of these people, Pak. The only way kita boleh betul-betul dapat cerita sama nih orang kampung nih is experiencing apa yang they're going through. Okay? Macam saya selalu kan, I thought micro hydro is the solution. I want to be the superhero. I like that village. Tapi orang sana bilang, bos, kami tidak ada duit mau bayar ini. Baguslah, saya mau karun. Kamu mau karun? Nggak mau. Tapi bila kita bilang, mau pungut 10 ringgit 1 bulan, 15 ringgit 1 bulan, semua orang garang kepala. Kan? Because without understanding what is currently happening with dorang punya life, kan? Whatever we talking about kan kadang-kadang tidak relevan. It's not. So at the end of the day, relevance also is very important. You have to make sure that it ring ataupun it knocks the door yang diorang mau dengar, Pak. So at the end of the day, it still go back to this feel good and then ini bread and butter issue. So that's why paling senang sekali to invoke this feel good and then addressing the bread and butter is money. Coming back to money. Anyone who comes, saya bilang, suddenly I discovered this $1 billion thing sitting on our forest. Kan? Tidak bagus gitu. Bodoh si Cynthia Ong tuh. Bikin lawannya apa? Kasih stop Sabah daripada dapat nih billion yang boleh kasih maju kampung kita. Guna SDG dia bilang. Betul. And nama saya pun kenal. Cilaka nih orang ini bilang. Si Edren nih. Betul-betul. Anjing Malaya dia panggil. Nama saya sekarang Anjing Malaya. Tapi saya bangga juga lah karena panggil Anjing Malaya. Sekurang-kurangnya bukan ular kah apa. At least anjing loh. Ya, ataupun bukan katak. Sometimes kalau kita jadi Rottweiler, kita gigit jangan lepas kan. Nah. Tapi anyway, itulah sampai kena panggil anjing kan. But not because saya ini mau halang pembangunan di Sabah, but we just asking question kan. We ask question. Because the key yang saya betul-betul percaya nih adalah the only way for us to change what is happening on our community di bawah is knowledge. Because with knowledge, with information, we can change a lot of things. Tapi masalah dia, most politicians doesn't even care to put knowledge in their heads. That's the problem. Tapi politician sekarang dia mau semua nih. Senang banget nih, churning, feel good cerita nih. Senang. Because it doesn't cost you money. Doesn't cost you time to read and learn. Kau buat cerita lah, korek lubang, buat ini, cak, nah, ada ikan di dalam nih. Senang. And that's how politicians work. So, the only way we can clear ini semua nih yang yang murky waters nih is by putting more knowledge about the issue. And how do we do that? It's challenging. Dan apalagi kalau ini false news. My God. Kalau kau nampak how WhatsApp message bergerak cepat dalam community orang asal nih, wah, they put me to all of this grup lah, grup pensiangan lah, grup ini, everywhere saya punya dalam phone nih. Saya keluar dia kasih masuk balik, as if they just want to, kalau dia meluap perasaan they want us to hear. So I accept that lah, what to do. So I said, baca-baca. But the amount of BS going into these groups is tremendous. Kau pun mau mati, mau baca dia. And yang saya heran betul, it's like, how does these people have time to edit all those things? Means that it's been done consciously. Sebab kalau kau bilang cakap-cakap begini, saya tidak. Ini TikTok video sana. If you have been a TikTokers, you take time untuk kamu putung-putung, kamu edit, put grafik makan, teks sana. Wah, sebelah. And orang kampung sangat suka TikTok. Sebab masa kau baca itu teks sambil kau menari, wah. That's why it's fun. And I see. Yeah. Iya lah, so cerita-cerita kan sambil dingin kan. Oh. Tapi it get the message cross di kampung. Paling penting tuh. So creative things can help. Tapi it's just that you have to be a good gatekeeper lah. Okay. Ini gatekeeper nih penting untuk knowledge ini. Sebab kalau tidak, sekarang nih federal and state relation tuh sentiasa akan di play. So bagi saya lah, ya, masa pun mau habis sudah. Nanti ada Q&A juga kan. Bagi saya to really come up to that, the last part of my sharing is apalah kita boleh buat. Dan so this is just some of my reflection lah. There are two things that kita boleh buat as the next generation of leaders lah. First thing is take time, invest time on really going to the ground and understand this. Either kau buat research or you just do program di sana, and it's just to build this repo of ice breaking, because kau tahu kau masuk kampung, first thing they don't trust orang bandar ataupun outsider lah in general. Yang dia tidak kenal nih, dia tidak trust. So whatever you talk, bagus atau tidak itu knowledge yang we want to bring, ya, dia tidak dengar tuh. First time, bila dia sudah trust kau, then they will listen attentively. Itu penting. So otherwise, kau macam manapun buat program, cantik macam manapun, dia tidak paham tuh sebab they don't pay attention. The only reason they attend is to get to know you. Terus saya bilang, kalau kau datang, janganlah terus kau cerita pasal NCA. It's just to get, ataupun climate change or whatever, big, all these jargons yang kita mau bawa lah, kan. Try not to bring that first lah in the So ice breaking tuh. Because the moment we understand, dorang punya one step back. The moment they trust you, they start talking. Bila they start talking, then you understand a lot of context yang saya rasa kita sometimes misperceive. Sebab kita punya understanding about the issue tuh is only based on what is reported on the media. And I tell you, media as a gatekeeper very selective. Very selective. Dia cuma angkat news-news yang bagus dan memenuhi kriteria-kriteria government or whoever is actually controlling the media. I tell you, kau punya cantik macam mana pun, kau punya press release, tapi it doesn't conform with who is control the media, you will never see the light. Ada pun kena betul-betul kena padam-padam, suddenly out of the blue, wah gila, dia ini headline nih. Nothing to do with the article. So that's how media is. So kadang-kadang karena itu kita pun salah anggap. In the end kita bawa masuk sana, kita pun rugi, orang kampung pun rugi. Itu satu. Perkara kedua is we have to learn how to do a little bit more listening. Listening to people nih, Bah. And ini mendengar nih bukan senang, especially orang yang mabuk. I'm not being stereotyping here, tapi in general, they will only talk when ada mabuk-mabuk sedikit. Heran juga saya. Tapi I don't know lah, in the East Coast maybe tidak berapa teruk lah. Maybe selepas 3-4 jug kopi, mabuk kopi, mabuk juga lah kan. Tapi itulah, you need to know, really train ourselves how to do active listening. And listening is not an easy task actually especially when you are actually want to hear in an open mind. Masalah kita ini kan kita sudah lock dengan kita punya perception ataupun isu ini kita sudah lock dengan satu position kita, Pak. So it's very hard for you to really understand the whole thing sebab kita sudah ada tie point ataupun georeference lah. I mean, kalau cerita pasal mapping lah. So it's good to have exercise something like mind mapping tuh. Or I always do good exercise of doing community mapping. Because in community mapping, that's the process di mana orang kampung boleh cerita pasal tempat dia dan you can use it a very powerful facilitation tool. Because they can represent a lot of symbols in their punya community itu. Yang kita terlihat, apa ini? So by that symbol tuh, kan kita boleh tanya dia, and then they can tell a story about that particular map. So facilitation skill ini diperlukan to address those lah. So once you have a lot of this, then kalau kita mau political change, then you know how to play, when to really put the feel good punya menu to the table. Make sure that it's not feel good yang betul-betul false punya lah, or unachievable punya feel good offer. Or kita juga mau combat sentiments. Sebab I'm sure a lot of kita di sini will have to face, kalau kita mau buat political change, we're actually in a defensive mode, bukan offensive. Because ini di kawasan ini yang kita mau change, actually, dia sudah entrenched nih. So, macam mana mau masuk sana, kau pun tidak tahu what is the entry point. Because you have to first break sentiments. Ya? Kalau masih juga nih anjing Malaya, macam mana? Jadi jauh lagi kena timbak. Nah, jadi inilah bukan senang sebenarnya untuk masuk dalam gelanggang untuk politik nih. Mainly because politik juga perceived to be dirty. Ini juga. Politik nih, kotor lah, kotor. Sebab kenapa? Almost everybody yang kita dengar sini kalau kita buat free listing. What is the first word, one word that you can describe Sabah politics? Hah? Hah? Dark. Dark yang gelap. Dark ya. Now, let's do a little bit exercise. Ada dark. Noel? One word saja. Who else? Yang ada? Hah? Shit. Neville ada kah? Money. Pancing. Kan? Lan, what do you one word that represent Sabah politics? Tribe.
In the negative sense. Gang.
Nah. Ada lagi? Selfish. Ada lagi?
Online.
One word that you come into across like Sabah politics. Nepotism. Immature. Okay. Emily? One word. Ada nggak ramai? Nepotism, selfish. Katak. So dysfunctional. So basically, all the words are negative kan, more towards the negative side. So that's why the system, saya boleh cakap, is already corrupted bang. Macam itu hadis kan, macam mana kamu buat pun, kalau the hadis is already corrupted, susah mau change kan. So here we are talking about good governance. We want to fight corruption. We want to fight, but how can you do that in a corrupted system? Kan, something is like you really have to think about, is this the right platform, or can we do it outside? Can we do it somewhere else, or is it a step that we have to go through, where correct the system first, then we go on, kan? So it's a big dilemma in many of us who join politics. Sebab some say, oh, we can do it from within. Banyak orang percaya yang we can do it from within. Tapi the moment you masuk dalam septic tank, you berenang tai wah.
A question mark. Untuk batalkan ni. I'm not sure what that is, but just now Cynthia and I talking a bit as you're talking. One, because what you're saying is so damn depressing. And my nature is that the minute I get depressed, I want to get out of my depression. I want to grab onto a tree and pull myself out, of depression. So what might that be? Because all your beautiful map that is so clear and it answers so many of my uncertainties. I love it so much. But where is the way out? And I was just saying to Cynthia that sometimes Forever Sabah is described as an alternative government. And one of the things you said, your 3-point study were apa? Satu, katak. Dua, apa? Football team. Apa? How to summarize that better? Handicap. Bad leaders. Weak leader.
Weak leaders, and then
the third one is no vision.
No vision.
Okay, to me, this is where the core. What is the core of Forever Sabah? What, Natasha? The dysfunctional future if we don't do anything. One of the things that I love the most about Forever Sabah is that it's not. The work that you all do is not about today necessarily, but you're working on vision for a new, imagined, better something, better question mark, right? So I just want to start by just putting that on the table of what do you do at Forever Sabah? What is this parallel universe? How can this parallel universe play alongside, disrupt, kacau, all of these murky ponds and this going on. How do you make this so shiny in its brightness that it becomes more desirable than the money? So to me, that is at a very, very core importance to this group of people, because it's where you can place your action and hope. And I think it's really vital what Bani was just saying about all the depression of the hopelessness and all of that. How can that hopelessness be your api, in a way, to make fire, to make energy? That's my immediate response. In relation to all of us at Forever Sabah.
One of the things that struck me, of course, was the divide and rule thing, because I always believe that we are perpetuating the wounds from divide and rule, and this game here, that the bola sepak game, the games that they're playing in those rooms, is almost the only survival thing they could do in the face of divide and rule. And they're stuck there. So I almost feel sorry for them, but fun. So we have to liberate them from that room. Because it's
Liberation!
Pula, we need to liberate them. I see, I get it. No, it was so illuminating. I was really like, wow. I think both of us together were like mind blown. Suddenly it got explained. And this is why understanding power is so important. Because we think we're powerless. We think they hold the power. You see what I mean? But actually they're trapped in their own reality.
Yeah.
And then they, like in that taklimat, they're just kind of saying things to confuse us. So we're like, oh, okay, then never mind, I'll watch, Netflix or whatever, because I'm confused anyway. But the owning and claiming power piece is so vital to whether or not, because like maybe, these oldies need to be liberated.
Yeah.
You want to respond to Ilan?
Yeah.
You had some things to say.
Thank you. So actually, Ilan raised a very important question lah, because apart from what we know, there's actually, so what can we do then? Kan, itulah soalan dia. But I mean, I agree that money has to be changed to something else. That's why the most important part is actually to find what value. What value do we want to uphold? Because money is also value. But now money become valueless bah. Because a lot of this money becomes too easy, yeah, ataupun money becomes very corrupted. But I think when it comes to the new way of thinking, with sustainability in mind, I think we really have to bring back some or put into the picture a value that everybody agrees. And I think kita punya environment too important. That's one. And how to achieve that? Well, Forever Sabah is already doing it, in fact, which is partnership. Because these days, even political party cannot survive with alone. Kan? Even political party have, or political dynamics have reached to alliance politics sudah. No, those days there's one super party macam PBS, Perjaya, USNO, macam tu pa. But these days, no single party will able to survive. Whoever have this ambition will fail. Because of the, again, as Cynthia saying, we are the, a product of divide and rule politics. Kan? So that's why it's so important. Apa jadi? Okay, putus ah. So I think we have to continue to do forging partnership, strategic partnership, and try to discover new values that can bring people together. Ya, itu that question mark is still yet to be found. Tapi I think environment is a good start. Kalau saya lah, okay. And when Cynthia says kalau kita nih continue macam diorang liberate kan, memang betul tu lah. Because when I was in the focusing on as a senator, not many issue I can touch. Sebab the moment you start talking about other things, even within the party circle pun start scratching their heads. Because they don't know about the issue. Ya, macam itulah the trap pasal tu. Contohnya 1MDB, the trap on corruption, the trap on this ini issues ya bah. But the moment you go beyond things like orang asal rights, indigenous people's rights, mereka pun garuk kepala. They don't know why. Why it's important for indigenous people, orang asli, to have their rights protected. Bukan orang asli sudah apakah? Is part of Bumiputra kah? They don't even know orang asli that is not even in the constitution. Kan? So a lot of things that needs to go, they have to itulah somewhat liberated from ini kepompong politik yang so much because they have been fighting in the same ring bah for a long time until like itu issue pun sudah no longer appealing to the masses.
That keeps Forever Sabah going is forever. It's literally that we named ourselves Forever Sabah. I think it's both uplifting as well as it's daunting. Because when we go into Sagama, we go into wherever we go in, we think it's, this is forever. There isn't really, we're not planning the exit. And we get to know people as friends and allies. So, and then the other part I think of Forever Sabah, which I think sometimes we forget or we don't articulate it, is what we call the indigenous imperative. Meaning plant yourself, stake yourself somewhere, and you're there, and that's where you tend to the land or the sea or whatever, and so we call it the indigenous imperative, and that was from very, very early on Forever Sabah days. And I think the other piece that was really important to us was humanizing the process. That was something that Michael talked about just now, kan? About seeing everyone, seeing the other as human. And I think that was always core for us. Whether we're with government, whether with communities, private sector, it was always about forever and humans. And I think when we go into a space and we go in with that frame, let's talk about frames, I think that quality impacts the space that we create or we convene. I hope it comes across as sincerity. And then talking about money and the new imagined whatever it is. Some other things that we called out also over the years in Forever Sabah is other what we call currencies. And then some of them were reciprocity. That it was about give and take, and balance. So you give, you take something from the land, you give something to it. You come here, you give something to it. You eat something, and you know what I mean. You bring. So reciprocity was something we saw as a currency other than money. And that it had immense power and immense value. In fact, you couldn't really quantify it. And then the other thing we talked about was generosity. After reciprocity, just generosity. I mean, who can take that away from you, right? And it doesn't mean to say generosity like give someone money, but give someone your care, give someone your love, give someone your time, give someone a space. Listen to that person. And then the other currency we talked about was responsibility. And if you think about all of these, there's infinite value there, and they're not about money. So yeah, just some things to throw into this very epic flow chart.
Something quite interesting recently by engaging in the network, the LMMA network. They say countries with the strongest governance and strongest policies, it's usually very difficult for you to advocate for something new because of that fact alone. But in countries where politicians are clueless, where policies are outdated, these lawmakers sometimes also struggle to come up with new policies because they just don't know, like what Bani pointed out. So, one of the blessing in disguise is maybe civil society organizations. They know clearly because they go onto the ground, kan? They know people depend on natural resources builds the economy, but our policies regarding natural resources is outdated, therefore it does not enable the economy to grow. And through that kind of work, maybe there's a chance maybe to influence policies. And I'm sure politicians would like to be seen getting involved juga. That's just some of the positive things I see lah. Because the country is still weak, they are open to new things, not only from politicians but from CSOs. Yeah, itu saja. Thank you.
Thanks, Neville. Did you want to add?
I just want to add to Neville's point. Actually, and also I think I remembered a little bit of Cynthia punya point on what can be done. So, in fact, we have not seen much on people's power in Sabah, or in fact in Malaysia recently lah. Because if you look at other countries, when the system become more corrupted, then normally the people, the masses will take over and try to influence the process. Tapi saya tidak tahu lah why in Malaysia or Sabah macam itulah, we are too polite. One thing, maybe it's our nature which is very good. Tapi because of this politeness and niceness is been misused ataupun manipulated by the politician. Yeah, it can be done. It can be that way also lah. Tapi how to get to the next level is bukan saja politics yang inspire this to spark hope, but actually the civil society is very important in bringing this new discussion on the table bah. Sebab politics can only offer what is normally attractive to them and dia sudah tahu. And macam Neville cakap, dia hanya masuk kalau dia boleh bawa publicity untuk dia, kan? But CSO have the the ability to bring new discussion, new topic. So how do we do that? Because kalau kita bercerita di project on the ground saja, saya rasa tidak cukup. We have to also provide a platform untuk orang from different level to also come and hear and discuss all this new topic lah. So be it environment ka, gender equality ka, workers' rights ka, which not been touched too much by many politicians lah. Selalu kita akan nampak it's all economic related or policy in terms of administrative, schools, kita punya health, even to some extent environment lah. Tapi there are many other new issues coming up kan. Dan sekarang ni with Undi 18, have not seen a lot of things happening in Sabah tau, to engage the young voters. Those who are still in Form 4, Form 5, there's going to be voting soon. Are we engaging them? How are you going to sensitize them on political issue without scaring them? So, bikin takut ba ni politik ni, kan? So that's why we have to really, the civil society kena masuk deeper and try to explore new grounds juga. Sebab salah satu masalah dengan civil society, and I have been in that line for many years, is we only work hard to a certain level, and then lepas tu kita post, and then biasanya kita post dan kita jalan lagi. Tapi in the end, kita end up doing firefighting on previous projects or previous community yang kita pernah engage dulu. So we're stuck from progressing. And why is this? So there is also need to be growth. Kan, mesti ada perkembangan juga. We need to replicate more, inspire more people, young people to set up new organization. Ya, so bukan senang untuk inspire people and start a movement tau. I know social enterprise, banyak orang sekarang nih, it's almost like it's a trend yang everybody first thing keluar dari sekolah or even during uni, kau set up, I want to be a social entrepreneur. As a bridge between career and sebelum dapat to gain experience. Tapi are we engaging dengan group of people like this so that dia punya enthusiasm, dia punya energy itu can also be directed towards change, kan? So yang sekarang saya nampak is mana ada pitching, di sana lah pergi. So pitching, in the end is all government punya propaganda pula. So I've seen many of the program organized by the government institution. In the end macam tiada impact lah. The social impact of the social enterprise tu become less and less significant because derang pun plagiarism juga pada dia copy apa yang orang sudah buat. So it's the same thing over and over again. So no new ideas juga sebab kita CSO is not providing them the opportunity for them to macam tadi to go and listen to the community lah. So I think ini ada a few missing puzzle that we need to provide in order for us to grow as a CSO and also to create new value apart from money. Itu saja saya punya point yang saya boleh tambah lah.
I was also struggling with the question of what can be something positive to hope for. And I want to point out one thing, which is this money thing, which has been so poisonous for Malaysian politics. This money is finishing. The reason for all of this was oil and gas. That was the reason for all of it. The reason why every Sabahan political party, always in opposition, fights against federal government and then helps the federal government as soon as it's in power is because of this money. Because there's no money in Sabah to run a political party. It has to come from federal. So they have to work to get that federal money. If you, from a mathematical point of view, if you put one big lump of anything, in this case money, it will cause a centralized system where everybody is waiting for something to come from the center. That was the problem of the resource wealth of Malaysia. And it's the same problem in almost all the other countries that have oil wealth. It's only that in Malaysia, it's hidden. Huge effort is made in Malaysia not to admit that the country is running on oil and gas. That's what the country is running on, and it's running out. And one of the reasons that everything has been so confused politically in Malaysia in recent years is because there wasn't enough money. No one could get enough money to control everything. Unfortunately, the price of oil and gas has gone up again. So you're going to see much more political strength, I think, in the next few years until it goes down. When it runs out, the political machinery that he so beautifully described, it needs a lot of money. It needs money that is not available in Sabah. Why is Dr. Jeffrey inventing new money from somewhere? Because everybody who wants some money from him knows there isn't any money in Sabah. He can't create a story that he's going to give them some of the money he's going to steal in Sabah. He has to claim he's going to steal it from somewhere else because there isn't enough money in Sabah to run these kind of political parties. So the hope is this mountain of money is drying out.
Yeah.
What will Malaysians do when no longer is there that kind of destructive, dirty, oily heap of poison?
Something that is very important when you want to understand about politics in Sabah and also Malaysia is the reason why they want to keep you poor. Because keep you poor, keep the votes coming. Ini yang is very blunt, and it is known to be like the strategy of UMNO and also other BN parties in the past. Because the reason why you can really see lah what happened to Penang, what happened to Selangor. When they start independent from the federal, they don't start not voting to you lah, kan? So that's why I think it's very important that they have consciously actually made this effort in order to ensure that all the rural voters remain poor. Itu yang paling penting. And they want to make sure that they continue to depend on the handouts because they use this term of kerajaan kebajikan, ya, berkebajikan. So yeah, I mean it's a good concept of government that look after the welfare of the people. Tapi kalau it's actually partial welfare where you only help people that is in trouble, then I think that the concept of welfare government is not, because in other socialist country this is how it is done, because you want to make sure that the government is strong so that they can take care of the people. Well, even in certain communist country pun macam itulah dia punya sistem, kan? But the problem with kita punya sistem tu, saya bilang, because it was corrupted. The system itu corrupted over time. If you look at the transition from the 60s to the 70s, kan, all about helping the people, angkat derang, try to get them to be berdikari. That's the role of the government. But as we reach the middle income country, so these things have changed. But our policy never changed. Yeah, so then Malaysia and indirectly Sabah got trapped into this middle income country trap, which we can, macam Ken cakap, we cannot provide for more money because we are already in a trap where you are a middle income country, you cannot get aid from the rich country, but at the same time, you cannot also go to be a rich country and raise more capital. So in the end, inilah masalah dia. Instead of tolong ni rakyat, they start to use the system and they misuse the system untuk kebaikan politik dia lah. Ya. So that's why a lot of the policy, kenapa senang mau dapat duit? Actually, why? Banyak soalan mah. How does the politician become so super rich in Malaysia? Ada orang pernah pikir kah? Kenapa kita punya rakyat and then they're still walking free? If it's corruption, then kenapa dia semua di jail? If dia orang ni semua ni perampok, why they still walking free? Kan?
So
because the system is actually allow you to steal some part of the cake every time it moves from the government, from the federal government to the state, to the state, to the district. Because every time it's an inbuilt corruption system. Dan memang sudah dalam government punya budgeting pun macam tu. Dia sudah build in 10% dalam semua projek tu. So that's why harga-harga jalan raya kita ni harga kayangan. Kan? 1 kilometer is like 1.5 million. Right? Why is that? Because that's the system. JKR. So whoever is in power, kan, who approves the permit, automatically get that 10%. By virtue of being in power, who signs this? So tidak perlu minta pun. It's already given. That's why politicians sekarang ni berlumba-lumba mau jadi YB, mau jadi menteri, because kau buanglah 5 juta, 6 juta kan. Untuk 5 tahun tu what is that lah? If you pengundi 50,000 ringgit, 50,000 orang, 50,000 orang. Untuk one election, you buang 200 ringgit untuk satu orang. That's only, how much Only 27 ringgit untuk 5 tahun satu orang. Calculated sudah ini. So for them, it's a small investment where they can, to get like quadruple or even more than that when they win election lah. Itulah masalah dia. So, ada soalan tadi, remember si Neville, even though ini question sudah lari sikit, tapi itulah financing, political financing nih for election. How does it, do we need a law to govern that? Kan, because duit ini becomes problematic lah. So, kalau kita tidak regulate, of course, semua orang yang ada niat dan ada kebolehan untuk menjadi pemimpin will never have the opportunity to get elected lah, because you don't have the money. And those people who has most of the capital, who controls the capital, memang akan sentiasa, or who has backing from the capitalists, will always win the election lah. So, yeah, so sorry to say that this is how the situation is.
Bunny, where do you put your hope?
Hope. Sekarang ni, I put my hope on the young people lah. Ya, betul.
No pressure, guys.
My hope is only if those people is going to be voting next election will be the majority. Coming election, the majority will be people who is below 40 after only 18. So I just hope that people will come out and vote. But coming out to vote not enough without having a good candidate.
Yeah, vote for who?
Vote for who kan? So yeah, young people also needs to step forward and say, I want to offer myself to be elected. I'm willing to deep dive in the septic tank. So whether they vote itu apa, and then do they understand about what the vote means? I think lah, because they're so focused on trying to survive. They can't even talk about other things lah. Ya. Apalagi kita mau cerita pasal politik nih sudah rusak lah ini. Adalah. Because everybody is in survival mode bah. Apalagi lepas pandemic nih kan, all of people is actually on survival mode. So they don't care lah.